I've become a pretty darn successful trader listening to old Steffi here. I've combined my candlesticks and pattern systems with her levels. I do pay attention to the prints, but I really don't trade off them. Yeah, sometimes. I make my trade with a stop loss. When I enter the trade, there's a stop loss with it. Then I record it on a piece of paper. If you try to follow me, you're going to have a late entry and you won't know where the hell to get out. So ask me any questions if you like, and if I can't answer them, somebody in the room will. That's not a problem at all. Let me go back to, where am I? Oh yeah, I want to go to monitor 1 and move this over. Okay, people ask me how I get my trades and where they come from. I use TC 2000. I hope you all can see that. Yeah, you can. All right. Let me reduce this for now, just to show you what I have here. And I left it up intentionally for this meeting. Otherwise, these have already have been deleted. This is my watch list for the 28th and then the 29th. And many times I'll keep these up here because the patterns I saw back on this day will finally take effect today, or sometimes yesterday. So I leave these up here for a while so I can watch them and see what's going on. But usually during the day, if there's one or two that work very well, then I'll copy them over on today's watch list and just close these out like I'm doing now. This is my Thinkorswim platform. Okay, I use TC 2000, and I'm going to show you all here in a little bit about J-hooks and J-hook patterns. In fact, I should do that now. So let me what the heck happened to it? Oh boy, I lost it. Oh no, here it is. Nope, that's not it. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. All right, let me close this down here and get something else on this. My screen is messed up because I couldn't get in, and then I could get in, and then I couldn't get in. Let me put this where it belongs. Okay. Watch that again. Where did it go? Where did it go? What happened to lovely children? There it is. Okay. We're still on monitor 1, I hope. Yeah. This, and I have to go find it in here. This is made available by cousin. She has gone in, and Scooter has recorded all this information in the chat or in the folder. You can find this program. And I'm coming down here to the candlesticks. I had this open before and set right. But this is all the candlestick prints and patterns, signals that have been put out by a fellow named Steve Bigelow. I was in his class before I met Stephanie, and that's where I learned about candlesticks and patterns. One of the reasons I don't go by all the prints is because my account is pretty small, was very small, and has gotten a little bigger, but I get to a certain point in it and I deplete it for a reason. I could not just day trade with the amount of money I had in my account. It only gave me 3 trades. So I had to find a way to swing trade, and to swing trade, quote, accurately. So I've gone in and studied the J-hook, and this is what I've come up with and why they work so well. This is all explained in in what Cousin has copied into the deal. But a J-hook is a short-term pullback with a strong uptrend in a move. First off, it must be in an uptrend. If it's not an uptrend, then you're not going to get a J-hook. It's not going to work. On this picture right here, the second one down, you can't see the 8 EMA. If you could, you'll see what I'm talking about here in a little bit, why I like it to pull back to the 8. This is the 20. This is a 50. Here is the 20 on this top one. Anyway, you can see where the J-hook's formed here. And if the 8 was on here, you'd be able to see it better. But this is where the description of the J-hook pattern comes from. Now, the J-hook pattern, and this gives a lot of explanation on it, and it's good info. The J-hook pattern is, when I go look for it on TC2000 or on TOS, you can see the complicated system that it is. This is all what's required for that J-hook. I've modified this some, but this pattern is in there, and what I've modified it to is to hold the 8 EMA, I'm sorry, not the 8, the 20 SMA in a certain angle for me. But this explains how to set it up in here. The first line, it says max close 10.1 higher than. Down here it tells you the highest close for the 10-day prior to the day was more than 10%. That equals the first line. The second line is right here. Higher than the close in 10 days, period. So this explains out exactly how that pattern works. It also explains it for think of the TOS code, think of swim code. This is why I don't use TOS for code. If I can speak it and think it, I can type it in TC2000. You get me into this garbage, I have no clue what I'm doing. So, but this is available in the chat. I mean, in the folder in the bottom of the screen. What I want to get to here is, let me go back to what I was talking about a minute ago. I lose my mind sometimes. Let me see what the chat says here. Yes, Ricky, it does. You're answering the question. I'm sorry. Yes, it does. It works at all time frames. When you see a J-hook, and this was mentioned earlier, Ricky, question was asked to me, when Ricky says he has a J-hook pattern on a 30-minute, does that count? And yes, it does, but it only counts on the 30-minute. You can't see a J-hook on a 30-minute and then expect it to work on the daily or the 5-minute. So whatever time frame you're trading in, that's the time frame that the thing should be effective. I've gone through this. The scan now is not very accurate, I have found, because this changes. I'm in real time on a TC2000, and these things keep changing. So what I have done is went in this morning and found J-hooks. Most of these are J-hooks. The ones with the little star in them is the ones I have transferred to my watch list. This CUTT is not starred, so I did not transfer that. This is a crummy looking, but it is sort of a J-hook pattern. But I was waiting for a bust above 70.50 to consider getting into it. And I'm not sure how the options on it are pretty good. What I do is I'll look at this in the morning, look at my TOS chart and see how the options look. If they look good, then I'll. Dan was another play, but it was not a J-hook. Again, these numbers are taken from this day, yesterday, not today. Actually, Friday, not today. Yesterday. Yesterday's Monday. Okay. Here we have a fairly okay J-hook. If I come in here to set this J-hook up, I am looking at where did this chart come and pull itself back. And it was coming up to here and it messed around a while and then it pulled up to here. When it pulled back, this is where I differ some from Steve Bigelow and what he shows on his chart. I want the price to cross above the 8 EMA, just slightly above it. That's the beginning of my run. Now I see the high. I go to the high of this run, which is right here. Now it pulls back. And it pulls back to where it crosses above the 8, right here. And in. Come on, machine, get up there. Now, and again, you can see these are approximate levels. So you can't count this 2972 as an exact number. We're talking about relative. So now I want to make this is how I find it, the progression of where it's going. I take this line and I want to create a parallel line. I want to duplicate it. Now I take this and move it up to here, the beginning of the second run. So the first run ran from here to there, and we pull back. This run now, this run here should equal that run in length. And that's how I project where the stock is going to. So I would put a line in here and say my target is 33.50, beginning at 28. And I'll show that again on the TOS chart. But that's how I find them. That is a nice looking J-hook. Of course, I didn't take it this morning. I wanted to, but I didn't mark it. That's why I didn't take it. The CBI is, no, it's not a J-hook. It's just a motor was a J-hook. This is a J-hook, and I can show it to you on the TOS chart. And I tried to get into this, and it's stalling out at 27. And I'll show you that here also in Thinkorswim. So this is how I do it in the morning. All right, so we'll get out of this. This is just how I do it. Oh, this chart also I have set up on here. The way this thing works, we'll go back to motor, for example. Motor is auto parts. GNTX is also an auto part supplier. Motor AXL is axle. I like trading it. I have it just recently. Borg Warner is also a auto supplier. So I can come down this and find everything in in that classification of parts, of stocks. Down here I have a 30-minute, 3, 4, 5 days. But I can see what the stock has done during the day in those days. Even though it just shows me an uptrend here, and I can move that in or out with my thumb screw. I can see how it acted during the day. That's just for me. Okay, so now what I want to look at, how I enter trades and that is something a little different. But let me go to monitor 2. Okay, here in monitor 2, I have my 5-minute chart. On the 5-minute chart, I have the 8 EMA, the 20 SMA, the 50 Stephanie's Crummy 120, and the 300. When I enter a trade, I enter it off the 2-minute chart, but it has to correspond to the 5-minute and the 30-minute. And I'll show you how I mean that here. Let me find a different stock. Let me see if this is one that's a little clearer, a little nicer. Yes. Okay. This is that motor again that I could not get into because they're too busy selling. And again, right now we're below the 20 on the 5-minute chart, and I don't like that. I like the 20 to be below if I'm going to go long. The 50 is okay being up here. I can probably go through that if everything is. But when I enter a trade, I like to have the 30-minute chart, the price close to my 20 SMA. If the SMA is here and the price is pulling back at this point, when I get in, I feel I've gotten in too late. I want to. This is a nice time to get in if the darn thing would cooperate here. This is a pretty good point. Doesn't have to be right on it, but it has to be close to it for me. Also on this chart, and while I'm here, I want to mention this to y'all. This is NASDAQ Book Viewer called Level 3. This is in real time, the same as my TOS chart is, real time. Here's where we can see refreshing. We can watch this number change, 2663. Right now we have one sell order with 271 shares. This is the shares to sell, and this is the total. Here you can see they have these shares to sell with the total. So there's 8 sell orders in here. These are the buy orders. I don't really get concerned too much with the buy orders unless I see them start to refresh good. And if I see that, I know we want to go up. But I want to see what's happening here. And right now this stock is not moving much, but it changed the amount of shares, and it did move an inch. But they sold some. To get a better stock, one that has some volume to it. Let's try KR. What I want to get at here, though, is right now we have a 1-cent spread. This is perfect. We have a 1-cent spread on this. When this spread starts to increase, get larger, in other words, they don't want to buy at 51. They want to buy at 49 or 48. And this guy's trying to sell at 52. He's going to give up selling at 52, and he's going to drop his price to 51. When they do that, this 48 is going to change to 47. When you see that number getting larger, you know the stock is going to come down. What I have observed, most of the time, the price is coming down. So it's something to keep an eye on while you're trading to see where, if you have a 3-cent spread normal, okay, 3 is good. If it goes to 5 or 7, be concerned that somebody is selling more than they're buying, and you're not going to get, she's not going to go up. Same when you're short. If it's short, if you're short, you want that spread to widen. Just keep an eye on it and watch it. You'll see how it works for y'all. The 3. And right now it's a mess. This is my list of builders. I have my semis here. I have special stupid stuff here that I never trade really. I watch these for a move. This is junk. But actually these are paper trades that I have going on. And here I have airlines, my military, oil, big oil. This is just a watch list of all the indices, the big SPX on them. I want to show SPX. And let me, where the hell did my cursor go? Here it is. Let's open this up some. Down here, just while you're looking at it, these are charts I look at, I watch. I can watch Oracle in here. These are all 5-minute charts, every one of them. And I'm looking to see what's going on during the day. I get a quick look at what I might be in or what I might want to get in. And then I put alerts up here too. Now I trade off of, this is my paper trading account. I have 3 computers. I have my paper trading account that I do all my planning and whatever in. And I have a second computer where I just watch the chat room with a little bit. And then I have a laptop where I do my live trading from. So this is just a working platform. What I didn't extend these lines out, but this is a J-hook pattern. You can see I drew it from the bottom of this move to the top of this move. And then it pulled back to here, which is this bottom line, and I projected it up. I'm saying it's going to go to 25.50 and a dime. Maybe not the dime, but 25.50. And I called that out yesterday when I found this J-hook. I should have found it earlier, but I posted that yesterday. Let's see if she gets there. Also, on the, come on, banana. Also on the ES. Oh, that is ES. I'm sorry. I thought that was the SPX. I'm sorry. That's the ES chart for the futures, the E-mini futures. That's not SPX. That was dummy. That was the that was the futures. The SPX chart I'm saying is going to go to 25, 45, 55, 50. Again, it broke out of this channel here. I put my line here. First one right here where it broke the 8. And then I projected it up to the top. It pulled back. It's a perfect J-hook right on the 8. It didn't come off the 8. It's perfect. And I project it's going to go to 25, 45, 50. And let's see if it gets there probably in a day or so, because this thing moves a bunch. Anyway, that's those things. Let's look at some J-hooks on that page. This is why I use this computer in this mess for, not for my live trading. You see how long it took for that thing to come up once I clicked on it. It took a while, and that's why I have a separate computer. There's nothing on it but one screen. That's all I do is trade on it. I show a J-hook, and I want to show what happens in a J-hook and how important these levels are. This is the first move in a J-hook from here to here. I have it with this line. Then it pulled back, which was a pretty nice pullback right here. to this level, and I projected this move to there. Well, obviously this was a failure, but why did it fail? If I go and look at my 3-minute chart, I'm sorry, my 3-year chart daily, this is a resistance. And it has failed on that resistance all these times. Now it broke through. Now would have been a good time to take this trade, which I didn't do. I wasn't watching it back here. This would have been a good time to get in this trade. And I'll show you what I mean by that. This level is still a critical level, and you'll see here in a few minutes. Correct, Rocky. That's about right. Here is a J-hook pattern that's recent. AA, I was in it, and I got out. And I got out when it pulled back below the 8, right here, somewhere I got out. I was in it. I made a few dollars on this trade. But you can see where it crossed the 8, came up to the top level. I drew that line. Then waited for it to pull back. And when it did, this is a little bit low, so again, these numbers are approximate when I do. If you want to be more exact, you can. And I projected it from that level to 50.16. If you don't want to write some of these numbers down in these symbols, give it a try. See how much how accurate this thing is. These J-hooks are darn accurate. Here's square. And I'm still in square. I haven't gotten out yet. I set a tight stop loss, but I haven't gotten out. This is the first. I've traded this many times, and I know you've seen me call it out a bunch of times. But this is the first move right here. Pull back. The second move only went to here, so it surpassed it. It beat it. It was only supposed to move that far, and it moved further. That's okay. Good deal. Get more money out of it. I think I did too. Here, and it pulled back. This is a crummy item to pull back on, but it pulled back to that top level, so I called it a move. And it went to that level and held it and backed off. So it acted as resistance. And it pulled back, and I'm in it now. And that's where I got in, close to this 28.26 is where I got in it. And the reason I know that is because I wrote it down. I'll show you all that in a few minutes. Rocky, it's based on the trend line, where I draw the line from. And I'll show you that here. I'm going to go to AXL. Let's go to AXL and show you how I do that. Okay, on AXL, this is a little shaky. This could be a pullback considered. This could be considered a pullback on a J-hook, but it really isn't a pullback. It's just an idle across the line. So I would take my first line and put it in here. And because this thing is so loaded, there's so many things on it, it's slower than doo-doo. Then my next line would be here. Then it has to pull back. It has not yet pulled back. That's why I did not get in it. It didn't come back clean. It's messing around in here. But that would be the beginning of the J-hook. This is not really cool to look at. But one thing I have on here too, though, The black lines are showing resistance. If you look to the left on the chart, and I always look left, I look left on my up to my 3-year chart to find resistance. Now, my J-hook may say I'm going to go to here, but I have this stuff in the way. So at those points, I need to watch and be careful that I don't get, it doesn't reverse on me and I lose some money. So I'll keep that in mind when my stock is getting, my price is getting close to there to get out. This is not a good one. I need to go to motor. We can draw some lines. Come on, machine. There we go. All right, here is a clean chart that I did earlier, and I took them off. I do want to trade this stock. This is the beginning of my run. It isn't an uptrend. Even though it's slight, it is still an uptrend. And the beginning of my run is actually right here. For me. Steve Bigelow teaches it a little different. He says your run starts down here somewhere when it first crosses the 8. And I changed it a little. It's just for me. That's the top. And that top is holding as resistance. I don't want to change that yet. Okay, we pulled back. We had a double, triple top here, and we pulled back and touched the 8. That would be the beginning of my next run, leg 2. Now we can draw the trend line. Come on, fool. Okay, so what I would do, start my line right here. What happened? There it is. And I'll go back to my dollar deal again. Now I'll duplicate this. It says duplicate drawing. That's what I want to do, is duplicate it, because my next move is supposed to be that big. From my beginning point, which was my pullback, right here. That's supposed to be the next move, or close to it. That thing is not exactly right. It's close enough. So I would say this is going to run to 32. And I would edit it and put a number up there. So that's where it should go. Once it breaks the high, you heard me mention a couple times in the room that the breakout for a J-hook pattern, the breakout, once it gets above that high, that's your breakout. So you can get in the trade here, but be cautious, this is still resistance. You need to be above that before the trade takes effect. And many, many times, I'll get in down here. Great. There's a few on here that actually show how wonderful that J-hook projection holds for this is MU. I'm not getting in an MU trade because according to this, 4150 is the top, and I have to trade options, and I didn't get in today either or yesterday because it's not enough movement for me. But that's still a good run, and I've called that out at 4150. Difference between the current resistance and the previous resistance. No, it's not added to the pullback. No, wherever the pullback is, that's where it is. That's where it goes. Now INTC is a little difficult because I have my J hook and my projection is to here. Now that's a 3-year high. I have no pullback. I have no projection up here. The only thing I can do is go by trend lines on my 3-year chart. That's all I can do to gauge where it's going. But to me, this is still a resistance level. And I have my stop loss set somewhere right above yesterday's high, or right at yesterday's high. So that's where my stop loss is. PayPal. I think PayPal shows. I've clicked this thing 3 times now before it takes effect. Here's a mess. Again, here's my first run. My second run didn't make it this time. It pulled back. This is a resistance on the daily chart, on the 3-year chart. And I projected to here, and it finally got there. And when it got there, and look at the resistance it caused. It's holding it at that point. These levels do act as resistance. It pulled back. I just made a line here. It's not really a J-hook line. I just made a line here. And it came up to there, and now it's acting as resistance. This line came from my Dumbo scanner. Can't have that. Mine. But anyway, you can see how it's acted as resistance. It's not going to get above it for a while. So these J-hook projection lines work, I think. Not a problem, Dana. Always happy to help. That's what this room is all about. We're trying to work with each other. LPX. Screwed around with me. I had a good run in here. Made some money. Then it pulled back. Made a little bit of money. And then it came back on me, and I didn't make very much at all. But my projection was to here. Leslie's been waiting for LPX to work. Me too. Can I analyze IEM? Yeah, give me a minute here. I'll get to it. Right now, this projection here is acting as resistance. And it needs to get above the 8 before I even consider taking this one. MGM, I think, y'all were talking about MGM. There's a bunch of prints on it. That's a mess. But here again, okay, here's my first trade. From this level to here was the first run. This is really not a J-hook until it finishes that upward run. Then it pulled back to here, and I made this in this color so we can see it actually failed. It came to here and failed, but I projected it to there. So the first run was here, the second run was there, and look what's happened. 1, 2, 3 times it failed right at that line. Now it's pulled back. Where did it pull back to? It pulled back to that second J-hook level. 1, 2, 3. These projections work. I'm saying, and I keep saying it. And it amazes me when I see it. It really does. All right, let's look at that IEMG, whatever the heck that is. Look at that one. Well, there's most certainly no J-hook projection. This is awfully gappy. I don't have anything to say about this one. I run a The only thing I can do on this one is, in fact, I don't have anything to say on this one at all. When you come up with these weird things? Tommy, what are you doing in here messing with us? No, it's not going to be it. It's only going to project is the bottom of the... Come on, fool. Give me a blip down here. That's pretty close. Maybe duplicate it and get a parallel line. I don't know what to do with this one. I can't tell you. Yikes. Anyway, that's what I've got on these charts. What else do I want to show you? That's it, I think. Yeah, anybody have any questions? CRM. Let's try CRM. CRM. What do we do with CRM? What's the upward trend has been broken a number of times. It's coming out of a small rounded bottom. My 3-year chart's not showing anything superior, super or anything. I would call that resistance. Looks like it doubles up. Sorry for the delay here, guys, but I'm running 4 screens off this one antique confuser. And it's hitting right on it. It's above the 8. It needs to break the 20. That's the 20 right there. And the 20 is at 94.91. 20 SMA. Above the 20 SMA, it may have a good run. Up till this resistance right here. That's the best I can tell you on this one. I'm sure not a J-hook. It's a nice little round. It's a nice little money penny bottom, though. BMW. All right, all right. We'll try a couple of these. There you go, BMW. First one was here. This was not on my list. This is an old one I haven't paid attention to in a while. It ran to here and pulled back. It's coming up again. It needs to clear. I'll put this back on my watch list. It needs to clear this high for it to be a breakout. And the trading in is kind of light, $1 million a day. And but it does move $1.60. The ATR down here is $1.60. So that's pretty nice. You can see I've watched this one for a while. I have been in and out of this one. But yeah, I would say that 112 would be the breakout. And a nice round even number. that has some movement in there, Brian. Not a bad one. SVXY. No, that's sure no J hook. Well, it could be, but it's really not a pullback. That's why I said on the other one we looked at. This is really not a pullback. This is more of an idle going sideways and a continuation of the first run. Now I mentioned on here, I work a little different than Steve Bigelow does. When he tells you he has a J hook pattern, he will start it from the lowest level, the lowest point, and go up to the highest. And then he comes in to the next where it pulls back, he goes again to the lowest point. And I've modified that some. I found I was a little more accurate in the resistance levels by going from the 8. But this could be considered not really a J hook. I'd like to see it pull back to the 8, but again, that's idling. Let's try that ABUS deal. Well, yeah, that's a J hook. I don't like it though because of that long tail. But that is considered. From here, it's considered a first run. It isn't an uptrend right here, so that would be considered a first run. And the top would be there. Oh, this is too wiki for me. But then we would cross the 8 right here. And that would be a 350 run from here. And then from here it would go 350 from here. So we're looking at 450 to approximately 8. So that's 350 run. It pulls back to here, so we would add 350 on the 650. It'd be like $9. Yeah, that could have one, but I'd buy this one. I wouldn't run an option on this thing. Oh, it's a biopharma. What do you give me pharmaceuticals for? What are you, a wise guy? Anyway, that's what I've got, guys. I hope that helps you out. But that's what I wanted to show you. Brian, no, it doesn't have to cross below the 8. In fact, I'd like it to stop right on the 8. However, there are times when I'll get a tail, a lower wick running down and stopping on the 20, and then pulling back up to the 8. And that's also an ideal one. I need to, I mentioned that on the 30-minute chart. I like to see it come back to the 8. I also like to use the 20 as a stop. Let me put square in here for a minute. Just go to my number 2 monitor again for a minute. On the square. No. Oh yeah, one thing I did want to mention. Let me get back to monitor 3. This is important. This is important. This is why I set up my scan too. Okay, I'm looking at square. This is the 20 SMA. I like that 20 SMA to be somewhere on or close to a 45-degree angle from this position, horizontal and vertical. I like to see it at a 45. Especially, it makes an especially strong move if even during the pullback, this 20 SMA has held that angle, which is telling me there is volume in here. And you can see it at the bottom of the screen. There is volume in there. People want to buy it. So it's staying strong. If you look at all my scans, they're all 20 SMA is on or close to a 45-degree angle. The higher the angle, the better. Okay. Simple moving average. And hopefully that this puppy will get here, 31.90 approximately. We're going for 31.90. Here we go. Anyway, that's what I've got, guys. You're very welcome. Yes, Lorraine, the higher the angle, the better. Who do I give this back to now, Ricky, or I just close it?